is up, YouTube? Jaybird back at you again on this beautiful Wednesday, and guess what? We're going to do the paranormal thing, and it's going to be on Wednesday. So welcome to Paranormal Wednesday. I got a couple of stories that I'll probably tell in this vlog. I'm going to start with this one. It was told to me, this is not something that I witnessed myself, but it was told to me by my grandmother. Now, my grandmother was born in 1917, and at the time that this story happened, and she told me this story numerous times, I would always ask her, Grandma, tell me that story again, because it just interested me so much when I was a young child. But the timeline that this happened in, I'm just guessing, because she never told me the exact date or year or anything like that. But she did tell me that it was when she had the first of her 7 children, and so that puts it somewhere in the mid to late 40s. And as you all know, I live in Tennessee. I live in West Tennessee, real close to the Mississippi River. And my grandfather was a sharecropper. Now, what a sharecropper is, you don't see too many of them anymore that I know of, but back in those days, you seen a lot of them. What a sharecropper was someone who worked on a farm, and they had a place to live on the farm, rent free, and they worked the fields and did all the the farming work for their living, and they got a share of the crop. Whatever the crop yielded, they got a percentage of. And because they lived so close to the Mississippi River, the house that they lived in at this time was up on stilts. It was up high. And the reason for that is because it flooded a lot. Mississippi River is a huge river, and when the water gets up, as close as they live to the river, it just made sense. A lot of houses down there still to this day are built up on stilts. Probably, I don't know, we'll say like a 1 story up, and then, the house is there. And I guess if it flooded, they used a boat to get to wherever. But it wasn't flooded at the time of this story. It was, it happened at nighttime. They had gotten done eating and everything. She'd cooked supper, and they'd gotten done eating, and it was getting close to bedtime. She was trying to get the baby asleep, and the baby was young. He was still just in diapers. And she heard something outside, and she told my grandfather, I heard something outside. You need to go see what it is. Well, right as he's going to open the door to the house, and then keep in mind, this is up. Whatever it was had to climb up a flight of steps to get to the door. Right when he went to open the door, whatever it was just banging and clawing at the door, and she said it was just making a god-awful sound. It didn't sound like a person. It didn't really sound like an animal. She didn't know what it was. They were scared, and my grandfather was petrified too. He just stood at the door with his shotgun in hand, waiting for the thing to beat down the door. It was that bad. And this went on for, she said, probably 2 or 3 minutes. They were just petrified. Baby was crying. She was scared. My grandfather was scared, ready to shoot whatever was coming through the door. And then all of a sudden, just like that, it just stopped and went away. Of course, they waited a little bit before they, opened the door to see what was going on or anything. And when they opened the door, there were scratches all over the door. The door was, obviously damaged. Good thing that didn't crash the door in, whatever it was. But the next day, she told me that on the door, they found a little bit of blood, and like real coarse, dark brown and black hair stuck in the scratches of the door and stuff. Now, there are no bears here in West Tennessee that I know of. Never, there is no reports of any. They're not supposed to be here. I'm not saying that they could not have been here. Now there is reports. Some people believe there's Black Panthers in this area, and those are stories that's been told from generations to generations. They're not supposed to be here either. So it leads me to believe three options. Maybe it was a bear that had escaped from a circus or whatever, which is probably very unlikely. Could have been a Black Panther. Who knows? Whatever it was strong and big. Um, they didn't say anything about footprints. She never told me anything about them finding any footprints or whatever. The only thing she told me that they found evidence-wise was the coarse black hair and dark brown hair and the blood and the scratches and the damage to the door. Um, the thing about the hair being coarse, because that was she made that adamant that the hair was coarse. Black Panther, they're like a cat. They don't have very coarse hair at all. It's probably kind of smooth, finer hair. A bear, probably a little more coarse. But I'm not sure. I've never been up close to a bear myself. And if it happened to be a bear, more than likely it would have been what they call a black bear, which is very unlikely in this area. Very, very unlikely. Um, so where did my mind go when this story was told? Of course, I've been told the stories of Bigfoot. And yes, there are documented stories of Bigfoots in this area. Um, So that's where my mind went. I was like, man, my grandmother had an encounter with a Bigfoot. The only thing that don't make sense about it being Bigfoot in my mind is from all the Bigfoot stuff that I've read and researched on, um, Bigfoots won't attack most of the time. They're skittish. They're going to stay away. So who knows? Could have been Bigfoot. Could have been a Black Panther. Could have been a bear. Maybe been some other wild animal. Who knows? But that's story number one. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back in just a little bit, and we will get on with some UFO sightings that I've witnessed myself. And thank you guys for watching. Peace. See you later. What is up, YouTube? I am back. As promised. I was going to tell you a couple of little small UFO incidents that I've had. They're not nothing major, and they're exactly what it is, a UFO, an unidentified flying object. But I'm sorry, I'm a little sweating. I just got off of work. We've been really, really busy today, and it's actually hot out here today. But the first one I was going to say is I was riding with some friends one time, and I was probably 25, 24, something like that. And one of my buddies brought attention to me of a red light in the sky. And, I got to look in. At first, just like everybody, I thought, well, that's just an airplane or something. But then I noticed it wasn't blinking at all, and it was low to the ground, and just a solid red light that was moving really, really slow. If it was, I don't think it was an airplane because it was too low for one thing and it was going too slow. A helicopter, if it was a helicopter, that's the only light that it had on it was a red light. And it was very low to the ground, I say just above treetop level. There was multiple witnesses. I think there was 3 of us in the car at that time, and we all seen it. Like I said, I'm not saying it's aliens from Mars or anything like that, but it was definitely strange, and it wasn't anything that I've ever seen that was made by human hands that I've seen. The second one was, let's see. I was driving down the road. I drive a truck for a living, or used to drive over the road for a living. I drive local now, but I was going down the road and I noticed a light in the sky, and I didn't think much about it. Didn't give it, 2 or 3 glances, and just thought, it's probably a jet or airplane or something. But as the closer I got to it, I noticed that it had two other dimmer lights, and they were kind of in a triangle formation. And this one as well was low to the ground, and it was like out in the middle of a field, and it was standing still. It wasn't moving at all. If it was moving, it was moving very, very slow, because I was going down the road, down the interstate, and it was like out in the middle of a field. Looked to me like it was standing still. It didn't have any blinking lights or pulsating lights. It was just like a white solid light, and then behind it, just like in a triangle pattern, it had two dimmer lights. I never did see anything come from it, and maybe I should have stopped and tried to film it or whatever, but I'm at work. I'm going down the road trying to get to my delivery on time and everything. But there is another one that I only caught the last of this little episode, and I was at home, and my son had called me one day. He's like, "Dad, go outside and look." He said, "I'm seeing something strange, So I went outside and looked, and I didn't see anything at first. And at the time, I lived in some apartments, and I was upstairs on the second floor, and I was standing out in the little breezeway there in front of my apartment. And the next thing I know, I was looking up like this, and I see this thing flying. Oh, I'd say it wasn't as low as the first two, but it wasn't high either. And it had like what I seen was the behind it, because it came right over my head, and it was nighttime, so all I could see was the lights. I couldn't make out any structure or anything to the whatever it was, but it had a blue light that was doing like this right here. And of course my son seen most of it, and I watched it from there, and it wasn't going really, really fast, but it was enough where I watched it for probably 45 seconds maybe, till it was too far away to really make anything out. But yeah, I sure did. Those are my UFO experiences. And I've already talked to a few other people who have some really cool stories, and if they can't or are not willing to get on camera to tell their stories, then I will tell them for them. And I'm going to do a little research between now and next Wednesday and dig up some really cool paranormal stuff. And as soon as I get to where I'm able to, I'll be able to include other video clips when people send me footage that they may have or whatever, stuff like that. I'll include those things. And maybe, like I said, if somebody's not too shy to get behind the camera or whatever, they can film and tell their own experiences, and I'll be glad to include that in Paranormal Wednesday. So you guys keep that in mind. Any of my subscribers, anybody that happens to see this or even want to participate, you are very more than welcome to. I'm easy to get a hold of. You can email me at jbirdshouse@gmail.com. YouTube, you can comment me, you can get me through Facebook. There's many, many ways. So I know this ain't a real extreme Paranormal Wednesday. It's my first time, but I'm just telling a few stories of my own personal experiences, and hopefully Wednesday after Wednesday after Wednesday, it'll gradually get better. And I really appreciate you guys hanging out and watching. I thank you for all you new subscribers. Thank you for all the support, everybody on Facebook, everybody that's commented, everybody that's messaged me. Thank you guys so much, man. This is awesome, and I'm glad to share this with you. So until tomorrow, keep a smile on those beautiful faces, and peace out. I love you guys. Thank you for watching.